Let's talk about the World Summit for Persecuted Christians coming up. Is this an unprecedented event?
This will be the first time that we've ever done anything like this. And we're doing this in Moscow. And people will ask me, well, why of all the places would you go to Moscow? The reason is because under communism, the church in Russia suffered more under 70 years than any church I know in modern history. The priest of the Orthodox Church, they lost about 99% of their priests. They were executed. Baptists, Pentecostals, Catholics, they were taken out and shot. And so here is a church that understands and has lived through persecution. Why would we want to have a conference in like the United States where we've never had that kind of persecution, or go to another country where they haven't had that kind of? Let's have it in a country where the people understand and they have lived through it themselves, and that's why we're going to Moscow.
What put this on your heart to organize?
When you see heads being chopped off, when you see people being burned alive, when you see people put in cages and drowned. We work in the Middle East, we work a lot in Iraq, we have worked for years in Syria, and I get the reports back from the churches of what's happening to them. We've got to do something to draw attention to the suffering church around the world.
What do you hope to accomplish?
Draw attention to the world, to focus on this, and hopefully the nations of the world will see the importance of standing behind people and defending them. And Prince Charles said several years ago that Christianity will be extinct in the Middle East in the next 5 years, at the rate it's going. Next 5 years, the Christian community will cease to exist in Syria, where it has been since the Apostle Paul went to Damascus. The church has been in Syria since the Apostle Paul, and it's being wiped out. The church has been in Iraq. The church was in Saudi Arabia up till a few centuries ago, and Islam has finally destroyed the church and has killed the Christians, and they had large Jewish communities in that part of the world. They have been destroyed. And so we're seeing now the elimination of the church throughout the Middle East by Islam. And they call it radical Islam. You can call it whatever you want, it's Islam.
Do you believe that you can get governments to sanction countries and leaders and groups who persecute Christians?
You got to start. You got to start, and just maybe you'll get a couple of countries coming out of a summit like this that would be willing to consider that. And we have one candidate who's running for office who said they will defend Christians. I've heard President Putin. I met with him, talked to him about this issue. And he sees the importance of defending Christianity. He sees that himself. So maybe the next president of the United States, maybe Putin, maybe the United Kingdom, I don't know. But you got to start somewhere, and maybe there will be some governments who will be willing to defend Christianity.
What can Christians around the world do to support the summit?
I think pray, but we've got church leaders from about every country in the world. We'll have over 1,000 leaders coming to Moscow. And the Orthodox are going to bring all of their leadership from the Orthodox world. It'll be the first time that anything like that has happened with evangelical Christians. The Catholic Church has said they're going to support it, that they're going to be sending their representatives to it as well. So it's Christianity. Now, people may condemn me for, well, Franklin, you're hobnobbing with these people who are not evangelicals. That's okay. They represent Christ. They represent the cross. I may not worship the way they worship. I may disagree with them on theological issues. But yet, the Catholic Church is being butchered in the Middle East. The Orthodox are being butchered. Pentecostals are being butchered. Presbyterians, I mean, you name it. Every group, Christian group, whoever represents the cross of Christ is suffering. And it's happening around the world, and we're seeing it happen in our country from the secularists, where our freedoms are slowly being eroded.